Hey Gemini, what's up gang? I hope everybody is doing well. So I wanted to come through with a special ancestor message, okay? If that's something that interests you, do stick around. Gemini, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Jessica. Please take a look at my description box because that's going to have all the information that you would need to know. And yes, this is a Gemini channel. However, if you vibe tribe, so go ahead and make yourself comfortable. Gemini, if you are returning, welcome back. I hope that you're well. Hope you're taking care of yourself. I do hope that you're doing what's best for you, boo. Thank you for all the love, all the support. Gemini, thank you for all the good vibes. It really does mean the world, okay? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this. So I want to do an ancestor message, and I feel like the ancestors want to talk to you a little bit about themselves as well, which we don't normally get. We normally get the energy of the ancestors coming in to give you messages about whatever's going on in your situation, okay? So this might be a little bit different of a reading. Take it as it resonates. Now, we have the crown that came out, y'all, and I do get that your ancestors are very powerful, okay? And maybe they didn't have very powerful positions. This could have been people who were farmers or had very humble beginnings, people who worked maybe blue collar jobs or something like that. But I'm getting like pillar of the communities, pillars of families, okay? The kind of energy where people depended on them. People went to them to seek guidance or seek help or seek a sense of strength or even protection. I feel like your ancestors were people that stood tall and that other people just naturally looked up to. They held a very regal, very strong presence, that of like a lion or a bear or an eagle, okay? I'm getting the energy of people who definitely had others that looked up to them, okay? I also feel like your ancestors had a lot of wisdom. They had lived a very hard life, I'm getting, for some of them. Like, I'm getting the energy of people who were kind of rough around the edges, lived a harder life. There's almost this sense of living off the land here, so maybe farm life, indigenous, or just, you know, these ancestors could be like, you could be coming here thinking of like maybe like your grandfather or your great grandfather, but these could be ancestors from way back in the day that you don't even know about or have very little information about, okay? But I'm getting a lot of like living off the land, living with animals, animal garden here, or guardian, excuse me. I feel like there's something here where your ancestors listened to the animals, they followed the animals, they paid attention to what the animals were saying to them. Some of your ancestors could have definitely been like wisdom keepers here, medicine men, medicine women, maybe shamans. Like, it's the same difference, but whatever you want to call it, right? It's like the community elder is really the energy that I'm getting, okay? I feel like your ancestors followed the animals and people followed your ancestors. Like, I don't know why I'm getting that kind of energy though. I do feel like your ancestors would look to the animals for certain signs too. So if maybe they weren't sure if somebody was an enemy or a friend, they would pay attention to what the animals were saying. And if they were seeing a lot of snakes or something like that, then they would take it as this person's very deceptive or they don't have a good energy to them, okay? I also feel like your ancestors were very connected to nature. They could have been people who, again, lived off the land in some type of way. So it was imperative that they did pay attention to nature. There's almost this energy of like, if we don't pay attention to if it's going to rain or if there's a drought or something like that that's happening, we might not be able to eat. And I do think that us today, we don't realize how severe that actually is, or like the true repercussions of that. You know, we live in a very convenienced world where if we want to go have a steak or something, all we got to do is just go to a steakhouse or go to the grocery store and buy a cut of meat. We don't really have to depend on ourselves to create that livelihood. Now, obviously there's some out there that still do, right? But I feel like the majority of us, we're just not living that life that our ancestors were living. Very hands-on with animals, very hands-on with the land. And I do feel like your ancestors, they don't look at you in the energy of envy either, that you get to have a more convenient life. They want you to take full advantage of that. They want you to live your life to the best of your abilities. They want you to enjoy the fruits of the labor that they built, you know? There's this energy here of like, I struggled, so you don't have to. I struggled, and I don't want you to have that same kind of lifestyle. I do feel like your ancestors want you to connect to animals more, or want you to connect to nature or the land a little bit more, but there's not like this judgment because you don't ultimately have to, okay? So I'm just getting that energy. Yeah, she-wolf, unleash the wild within. I do feel like a lot of your ancestors were kind of wild and kind of savage in a way. And they're not taking offense to me saying savage, because that's exactly how it was. You know, like back in the day, you handled things a certain way and that was it. They're reminding me of a story that I read on Reddit of this little boy that he grew up on a farm, and it was a mushroom farm. And their family knew that somehow that somebody was sneaking onto their farm and they were stealing some of their mushrooms. Now, their mushrooms were very expensive. It wasn't just the regular schmegular mushrooms. They were a very expensive kind. And they couldn't find this person, but they knew that somebody was foraging their mushrooms. Well, one day the boy was out with his uncle and they ran smack dab into the person. And he said it was just some young guy, you know, and he had a backpack and he was like taking mushrooms. Okay. So it was like caught literally red-handed. And he said that his uncle told him to go back to the house and not say anything to anybody. He would tell them when he returned, right? And being young and in that day and age, you just listen to your elders. So he went back to the house and he didn't say anything. We said it took his uncle a long time to get home. He came home like right around the time dinner was ready. And he said he just sat down at the table and he just started eating. And he didn't say anything, so the little boy didn't say anything. And thinking back on it, he's pretty positive, because none of their mushrooms were not stolen from that point on. He's pretty positive that his uncle like kind of took care of that person. And he just never looked at his uncle the same way ever again. It was never proven or talked about, but it was just kind of one of those things that some things don't need to be said, you know? And I feel like that's kind of how your ancestors would solve things back in the day. Like, I feel like your ancestors were very noble or very honorable. Like, you do unto me what I do unto you, and vice versa. Okay? It was not turn the other cheek. It was not be the bigger person. It was, I'm going to give you the same energy that you're going to give me. I'm going to match you how you match me. If you come into my life being threatening, if you threaten my land, if you threaten my livelihood, if you threaten my family, then you're going to get that back. If you come onto my land and you take my mushrooms, you might leave with a limb missing or even worse, right? It was kind of like that kind of energy here. I don't see your ancestors being punks. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't feel like they were punks. I'm just getting the energy of people who defended themselves without any kind of thought to it. In fact, they're telling me that they would eradicate any kind of deceptive energy, any kind of thievery, lying, manipulation, people who were, abusing people. Like, let's say this is a tribe type of energy and there was somebody who was abusing their wife, abusing their children. They would be eradicated from the tribe. They weren't welcome, you know? I'm getting the energy of very like noble people here, okay? Very honorable, which is why you have very solid protection, because they have no problem defending you. They didn't have a problem defending themselves. And there is nothing wrong with defending yourself. If somebody comes into your energy and they try you or they insult you or they threaten you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with defending yourself. And I feel like your ancestors were very much like that. Now, some of your ancestors were actually legitimate rulers. They were chiefs, they were nobles. They were maybe even kings and queens or governors or whatever, you know, the lead farmer, lead person in the community. The head of whatever. I'm getting that energy. Like, some of them actually were leaders and they ruled with almost like an iron fist, in the essence of, not to be messed with, pretty much. Okay. Whew, right. And some of you guys could be paying back some kind of karma because of that energy, guys. Because some of you guys know a little bit about my ancestry, but not a lot. I actually come from Powhatan, and this has been documented. And I didn't really know much about Powhatan when I was younger growing up. My grandmother had been the one that had done our whole family history and got on Ancestry.com and did all that, and that's how she found out that we were connected all the way back to Powhatan. But Powhatan was a chief, and he led the Powhatan Confederacy in like 1700 whatever. He had 10 to 15,000 people at the height of his power. That is incredibly impressive for a Native American chief back in the 1700s. And he had a crap ton of wives and an even more amount of children. And that's why I am not the only descendant. There are a lot of descendants of Powhatan. His most famous descendant being Pocahontas, right? That's what everybody kind of overshadows him and looks at her, but he actually has a very impressive story himself. And John Smith when he wrote about Powhatan in his diaries, he talked about how he ruled with the iron fist, and anything that he said was done. There was no questioning him or anything like that. And he was very kind, but also very savage at the same time, and very vicious, and almost to the point of where it was kind of scary, you know. But he was, when I say all that to say that because of that, my family line has been paying back a lot of karma when it comes to an indulgence in spilling blood, okay? Now, to give him his credit, he wasn't spilling blood for just no reason, right? There were wars going on, and he was warring with the colonists, and, you know, he was trying to advance his reign pretty much, and his kingdom, if that's what you want to call it. So, and he had a lot of wives, and he I don't know if all of them came willingly, to be honest with you. I think he took some of them. But he definitely took land, he took people, and by force if necessary. And so having that in your ancestry, whether or not it was an ill intention or if it was just for them to gain power, there's a deficit there, and there's always an energy that you're going to have to pay back karmically. So I feel like there's something there with that for some of you guys. I just felt compelled to share that a little bit, and I feel like there's something there with that when it comes to you with your ancestry. Like, whatever there was an indulgence in, if they had a lot of power, if they had spilled a lot of blood, or they did something, maybe they owned a lot of people, maybe they were involved in the slave trade, who knows, right? If there's a karmic energy there that needs to be kind of recalibrated or balanced out, you can find yourself paying back some of that karma, okay? So we have the wise one here. It says, grow within your current situation. I do, and look at her beautiful, worn, leathered face. I feel like there's something there with that. Like, your ancestors definitely grew within their current circumstances that they had to deal with. There was this energy here of, we got to make do. You know, if the tomatoes aren't good this season, or the beans or corn or whatever, then there would be fishing extra hard, you know? I feel like this made your ancestors incredibly strong, incredibly tough. Like, they were not the type that would take a day or a week off because they had a tummy ache. You know, they went out there, rain and shine, and they worked really, really hard to make sure that they could survive and live. I mean, it's different than how it is nowadays, you know? If we want to stay inside because it's raining and cuddle up under our blankets, we have that luxury, you know? But for them, they had to work with the elements. They had to work with what life was handing them. Now, I do feel like I had said, a lot of your ancestors were wise, and a lot of people came to them for support and guidance. And you might find that you've had these gifts passed down to you too, where a lot of people come to you for advice and support and guidance and strength. And I do feel like your ancestors, again, there's something about animals, like animal totems. Some of your ancestors might have had a particular animal that they, really enjoyed the presence of. So maybe birds, owls, or ravens, or crows. I feel like they wore something of the animal. And I'm also getting like Aboriginal too, or African tribes, but I'm seeing like a face mask of I don't know if this is a lion or if it's a jaguar or what it is, but I'm seeing somebody wearing like a face mask of that, like it's an actual animal and it's the face. And I feel like it's to intimidate people, because it's almost like they're dressed up in maybe like warring energy, like war wear or something. That's just what they're showing me, okay? I'm also getting like Aztec or Mayan or something around there too. Anyways, I'm just getting like a lot of different flashes and visions of things, so I'm sorry if it doesn't make sense. You're gonna have to kind of pick out what makes sense for you, for sure. I feel like, and I'm getting like strong like warrior energy too, you know? But yeah, your ancestors definitely had to grow within their circumstances, and some of them were born into their situations. So if they were leaders, if they were chiefs, if they were medicine woman, medicine man, they were born into that. Like back in the day, to be like a shaman, which is just a fancy word for a medicine woman, medicine man, you had to be born into that from another shaman. Like they would have a baby, and that baby would be raised up to be the shaman of the tribe. It wasn't just like, you know, you tried out for it or they just selected somebody. This was something that you were born into. So I don't know, for some of you guys, you might come from a long line of that. And that's why you gotta be really weary out here of like cursing people's family lines and just talking crap. Okay, I think I talked about that in a video that I filmed that I don't think I've released it by the time I filmed this, but I will release it eventually. And so you have to be careful about that. You have to be careful about just cursing somebody's family line, because you have no idea about their family line. You have no idea what kind of energy they come from, you know? Some people are quite powerful, Gemini, and I feel like your ancestors are very powerful and they're just not to be messed with, okay? I'm getting like anointed type of energy here. But yeah, like a lot of psychic abilities, a lot of intuition, even if they wouldn't necessarily like call themselves psychics, or they wouldn't call themselves like, you know, mediums or anything like that, but they were able to pierce the veil. They were able to see the spirit world and maybe even walk in the spirit world and go back and forth, okay? A lot of these people were like death doulas or something. They were there with people when they passed on. They were there when people entered the world. They were there when people exit the world. So they would help people give birth. They would help people pass on to the other side. And that's a very powerful energy. It's also something that is not given to everybody. It's like a high responsibility to do that, okay? So they had a lot of dreams, a lot of visions. I'm getting the energy of like people who would you know, just foretell stuff. They could even have been, because you know how like certain kings or certain chiefs or leaders or whatever will have like a right hand person that will advise them pretty much. I'm getting that kind of energy for some of your ancestors. They could have been like advisors where, you know, maybe the king's like, is it favorable for me to go to war right now? Or, you know, what, you know, is this going to be a harsh winter? Is this going to be a harsh summer? So I know, you know, about food wise and lodging and stuff like that. And I feel like your ancestors were those people that would, you know, I don't know why I'm getting this whole process and it's so detailed, but I'm getting the energy of like them being like, okay, I'll get back to you, right? They would take a day, they would go out into the forest or a desert or wherever they hailed from, okay? And they would sit and they would watch the animals and they would watch the clouds and they would listen to the wind, and then they would come back and then they would tell the person, yes, it's favorable, or no, it's not, or whatever, okay? There's something about that. I'm also getting trader, exchange energy to create abundance. I'm getting like a Caribbean type of energy for some of you guys too. The trading of like plants and gold and maybe even people for some of you guys. I'm feeling like some of your ancestors were definitely involved in some kind of trading, possibly gold or fabrics or spices or something like that, okay? Maybe what they created, because a lot of natives would like create beautiful beadwork and they would trade that for like gunpowder or weapons, metal weapons and stuff like that. So there could be something there with that, but the trader says exchange energy to create abundance. I do feel like your ancestors knew how to make something out of nothing, you know? I feel that very strongly. Some of your ancestors could have went through like the Great Depression, or they were just in that energy where it was hard, you know, it was a hard knock life. And in other words, it was difficult to kind of live the life of luxury, but some of them did. That's the thing, okay? I feel like some of you guys, your ancestors were very talented, or they were known for their tapestries or for their food or their medicines, their tonics. Like if people had fertility issues or they had aching pains or infections or something, they would come to your ancestors and they would put this special tonic that only your ancestors knew how to make. I don't know why I'm getting to that specific message, but I am for somebody, okay? That could have even been passed down to you, where you have a special remedy or something that your ancestors taught you to make. Like your ancestors taught your great grandma, then your great grandma taught you, or great grandfather, or whatever, okay? I'm trying to keep this energy together because there's so many that are stepping forward right now, and so it's difficult for me to kind of like keep everything categorized and flowing like in something that makes sense, okay? So you gotta take it as it resonates. We have the broken arrow, which means peace. I feel like there's something here where your ancestor didn't want to have to fight. Like, I ain't a killer, don't put down. Everybody's ancestors were like mine, right? Like, you know, like I know my ancestors wanted to fight. Like, I know that. I'm already aware, okay? I'm just looking over at my ancestor wall, like looking at them like, yeah, but I already know that. I know that they wanted to fight, but not everybody's did. Some just wanted to live a life of peace. Some just wanted to trade and to heal people and to, you know, and it wasn't all about warring and pillaging and growing and conquering and all of that, okay? Embrace the energy of peace. Some of your ancestors did start out though in that energy, because that's part of Powhatan's story too. Like, you know, eventually he did kind of come around to John Smith and to that energy of working with each other. It didn't last very long. He was the type of person that didn't like to be disrespected. That's the thing, right? Like, and he was a Gemini, so it's like I'm cool as long as you stay cool. It was kind of like that energy. And so there's always going to be some dumbass that's going to hunt a deer when they're not supposed to, or do something they're not supposed to. And then that would be it. Because tensions were very high back in the day between colonists and Native Americans for obvious reasons, right? So it's not so easy to just like be like, okay, well, we'll just live in peace. Like, we'll live in peace. Okay? Like, you know, with the undertone, the unsaid of, unless something goes wrong. But anyways, I feel like a lot of you guys, your ancestors did want peace, and they did want a peaceful life, okay? So some of them actually left maybe like the military or army or their version of that, okay? A combative lifestyle, to actually go and live a more humble lifestyle. I don't know why that's for somebody, but that is for somebody, okay? So let's get something else out here for your ancestors and what they would like you to know. And I also feel like if we're going to talk about messages for you, I do feel like your ancestors want you to grow within your current situation. They want you to take all the strength that they have within them, right? That they've passed down to you. If anything, they've passed down some strength and some hard heads is the energy I'm getting for some of you guys. Like, we have passed down more than enough resilience, more than enough tenacity to make things happen. You can literally survive in any kind of situation that you're thrown into, Gemini, okay? And I feel like your ancestors want you to take advantage of that strength that you have within yourself to grow in whatever situation that you may find yourself in. I also feel like your ancestors want you to exchange energy to create abundance. You have a gift, you have an ability, you have a skill, you have something that has been given to you that you can create abundance with. They don't want you to hide yourself. They want you to be proud of the gifts that you have. So if your ancestors taught you how to make herbal tonics, or they taught you how to bead or sew or knit, or they taught you how to cook, or they taught you, or you have psychic abilities, you have healing abilities, you know, you can speak to the animals, or you can tame animals, right? Maybe you're great at working at like an animal sanctuary, and because you have something where animals are connected to you, if it's something like that, you know, your ancestors want you to know that you were meant to create abundance with that. They gave you skills, basically, to be able to create some kind of abundance. Let's find out what else they want you to know. Look, you can't even make it up, guys. You can't make it up. Shaman. Trust in the higher forces with the Shaolin master. Be graceful in movement and action. Yeah. This is literally like, I ain't a killer, but don't push me, right? I wouldn't push them. So some of you guys might have Asian descent as well, okay? But I don't feel like it's necessarily like I'll only take the cultures that I'm picking up on. Whatever. I've been getting visions of Vikings too. So take it as it resonates, guys, okay? For sure. But I do feel like there's something here where like your ancestors were peaceful to a point. That's what I'm saying. Like we have peace right now. We have peace if you act right. We have peace if you don't step over this line right here. This line. Okay? That's as far as you get to go. You know, and we will reconvene at a later date to see what's happened here. I feel like there's something where your ancestors were maybe very much, you know, fighters, like they were good at warfare or something, or they were, I don't know, guys, they definitely were able to beat some ass if necessary. That's just what I'm getting, okay? For somebody, like, and they enjoyed it. That's the thing. And I feel like that's some kind of karma too to work out. And I know for us, somebody who has like a warrior spirit within them and had a problem with fighting when I was younger, and anger issues and things like that, you know, I know that surge, that rush you get when you're fighting somebody, like, you know, like, I know how good that can actually feel, but actually how toxic that can be too. And I feel like there is something here about being able to tame yourself and being able to create peace within. And some of you guys are working on that. So if you were born angry, okay, if you're the type of person that was born with that attitude of like, I don't know why I got all this damn rage inside me. I don't know why I feel like I just want to like bust out a window with my fucking forehead. I feel like there's something here where it's like you are meant to tame that energy. With the shaman though, trust in the higher forces, your ancestors had a very, very strong connection with the higher power, whether they called that God, Allah, spirit, the creator, okay, the universe, Jehovah, and it don't even matter. Whatever they called their higher power, they had a very strong connection and they worked for this energy. I feel like a lot of your ancestors were people who trusted in the divine path, trusted in whatever they were being told to do. They didn't question it, okay? And if something happened, like something unfavorable happened, I get the energy of your ancestors knowing that there was a reason for that. Even if it wasn't revealed to them yet, they knew that it would be revealed. And somebody's ancestors' owls are very significant here, okay? So yeah, I'm getting that energy. And I told you there's something about a wearing like animal gear, like I had said, like wearing horns or wearing like a mask, a face mask of an animal, or wearing feathers in their hair. And some of your ancestors want you to rock that stuff too nowadays. If you have something that has feathers on it or antlers or whatever, like don't be ashamed of your heritage. Don't be ashamed of your culture. Not that you would be. I'm not trying to patronize you, but I feel like there's this energy here of, you know, being loud and proud about who you are. But yes, some of you guys come from a long line of shamans, okay? And that's why you are one, or you have the potential to be one. Some of you guys are getting activated onto that path and you're not even sure why. And this could be because this was way back in your family history. It wasn't something where it's so easily like, you know, recognized. So maybe you don't know of any existing shamans in your family line, but this is from way back in the day. This power has always been there, okay? And being this energy, being a shaman, being a medicine woman, medicine man, a healer, okay? That is something that you are selected for. It's something that is preordained. So when you get called onto the shamanic path and you have the shamanic initiation and the healing crisis, or you go through your near-death experience, or some of y'all not so near death experience, because some people, they die and they come back. This is something that's where spirit has chosen you, basically. And so some of you guys might be feeling like you're called, you know, you're called to work with the nature, work with the animals, or work with spirit, work with holistic healing energies here, okay? Or again, you have visions, you have dreams. This comes from your ancestors. And I feel like your ancestors, again, want you to know, to trust in where spirit is leading you, to trust the higher forces, to trust that there's something out there that's bigger than you that is leading you. Right? Because I know that it's easy to feel alone, and I feel like they understand that. They understand that it's very easy to feel alone, okay? Shapeshifter, transform and unveil your gifts. And I feel like a lot of your ancestors possibly were shapeshifters, especially the ones that were very connected to animals here. Some of them could have transformed into wolves or hawks or eagles. I'm getting a frog for somebody, okay? Take it as it resonates. I'm getting like big cat energy too, like cheetahs or jaguars, or lions, but specifically jaguars for somebody. Jaguar energy was just very prominent for somebody's ancestry. Like it was almost considered, I don't know where this is from. I'm thinking it's from South America or something, but I'm getting the energy of like it almost being like a sin, or like it was considered a very bad omen to like, you know, kill a jaguar. Even if a jaguar was trying to like come after you, you were kind of just meant to either get away or that was it. I guess that's just how you go out, which I feel like they'd actually feel like that's favorable. I don't know. There's a strange thinking about that, but that's what I'm getting for somebody. But I feel like with the shapeshifter energy, yeah, there's something here about you shifting and transforming and unveiling your gifts and showing how deep that they can go, because I don't feel like you've reached your full potential, Gemini. I don't feel like you've tapped quite into as powerful or as gifted or talented as you actually are, okay? Some of you guys have talent that is just really deep under a lot of layers of trauma and pain and healing that needs to take place, okay? Anything else from this deck before we move on? We have the High Priestess, harness mystic power with the Knight, be brave and honest, and then the Seer, see beyond the current situation. See beyond the current situation, grow within your current situation. So there's a message there from your ancestors of just because it looks one way doesn't mean it is. And that's something that is going to be significant for a lot of different areas in your life. Just because somebody says one thing to your face doesn't mean that this is what they mean. Just because a situation looks a certain way or looks like you're going to have a certain outcome doesn't mean that that's actually true. They want you to follow your intuition. That's very strong here. And with the high priestess, harness mystic power. High priestess, shaman, I get that energy. Some of you guys have Egyptian culture, or maybe there's something here for Europe, okay? Or I'm getting like gypsy energy or something like that. Yeah, there's something here about being brave and honest, and that's that honorable energy that I was talking about. Like, I feel like your ancestors, like, and this is something I can get behind because I've already said it. I can't stand a liar. Like, just be honest. I can't stand a liar, and I can't stand somebody that like is slick. Like, just say what you need to say. You know what I mean? If you want to, like, you know. Like, if you got something to say, just say it. You know, that's just how I am. And I feel like your ancestors are the same way. They're very honorable. They couldn't suffer fools lightly. They couldn't suffer liars lightly. There's something here where it's just like they were very brave. They were very honest. They told it like it was, and they expected it to be the same way. And I also feel like with this rose, with the petals and then with the thorns, it's like your ancestors were very realistic too. They understood that life was not just smiles and sunshine. Life was not just, you know, only good times, and there was never any pain, and there was never any problems, and then when you pass away, it's very peaceful in your sleep, and you know, you never even stubbed your toe during your life. Everything was just calm and serene and perfect. Like your ancestors, look at his face, full of scars. Okay? I feel like there's something where your ancestors knew that, like, every rose has its thorn, pretty much, right? Every up has its down, you know? Behind every sunshiny day, there's a storm, or there's a day where it was cloudy. So your ancestors basically took the good with the bad, and they were very realistic. They knew that life was suffering. They knew that there was pain that was involved in life, but there was also beautiful blessings. There was abundance. There was happiness. There was joy. Okay? Getting that energy very strongly. Peacekeeper, let go of the need to be right. Yeah, you know? For sure. For sure. Okay. What else do we have here? We're going to use this, and then we're going to use this deck. Okay. So, what else do we have here? I'm not going to pull any tarot because this just feels like a different kind of message, and I don't know if tarot is going to be something that's going to necessarily hit the way it should. So, let's just do this. So, Chickadee, it says, the time is right to release old patterns and energies. You are ready to embrace change. So your ancestors do not want you to fear change, okay? This is talking about growing within your current situation or circumstances as well. I feel like your ancestors want you to know that you are stronger than your past, and you're stronger than anything that's tried to hold you down, right? You can go above and beyond any kind of box or limitation that has been set for you, or maybe you even set for yourself, perhaps in your mind. Your ancestors want you to know that the time is right to release old patterns, old habits, old addictions, old reactions, right? Like maybe you always react in a certain way. It's time to start elevating yourself and embrace the change that's coming for you, Gemini, because I feel like the change is going to be really good. It says use your discernment and fortitude to achieve your goals and find a new rhythm, right? So don't be scared of new rhythms, new outcomes, newness in your life. We have the Heron, and it says, let go of convention and follow your own unique path. Yeah, don't try. When I say these things, I'm not saying that you do. I want to be very clear about that. Okay. But I do feel like there is a need to not really try to be palatable, not try to be politically correct. Don't go out of your way to try to get a reaction for the shock factor, but just be yourself. And if by being yourself, you do ruffle a couple feathers, or, you know, you're not as, again, palatable for people around you, then that's their loss. Oh, well, you will attract your tribe. Your vibe will attract your tribe. Spirit and your ancestors are saying, let go of convention. Let go of what everybody else tells you is correct, or everybody else tells you is appropriate or suitable or anything like that. Follow your own unique path. Go the way that you're meant to go. You know, live your life. People out here want you to live their life. They want you to react the way that they would react. They want you to handle things the way they would handle it. They want you to do what they would do, but that's their life and they're free to live it. If you want to live your life like that, that's great. But don't come over here and tell me how to live my life. And Gemini, I feel like that's what your ancestors are saying to you. You know, Live the life that you were given. Be the person that you were created to be. You have uniqueness, you have gifts, you have a sort of sense of qualities about you that are different, and there's nothing wrong with being different. Okay? So if you find yourself to be a little quirky or different, maybe you see things or you hear things or you talk differently, you act differently, or you have a little bit of a past that not everybody would want to associate with, well, that's not your problem. It becomes your problem when you try to mold yourself to be more fulfilling for others. Okay? And at the end of the day, the only person that you should be trying to satisfy is yourself, okay? So let go of convention, let go of trying to fit into everybody's boxes, and create your own, or create a circle, or create a star, create a triangle, okay? Do whatever is best for you, okay? All right. That was just a message that I need to say, damn it. Because it's a message that has been for me the last couple of days. People coming left and right wanting to fucking nitpick me and critique me and this and that. And it's like, you can do you. Please let me do me. Please, I'm almost 40 years old. Please don't come in here trying to school me, teach me, tell me, advise me, any of that stuff. Unless I come to you and I ask for it, I don't need it. I have my certain people that I go to for advice. And it's not a rando on the street that doesn't know me, that thinks that they know me, okay? Sheesh, let it go, let it go, let it go. Okay, so we have the Kingfisher. It says prosperity is flowing. Have faith that you will receive it in the perfect form. We have two cards out here about abundance. So I do feel like, Gemini, your ancestors want you to know that you are meant to create abundance. That is something that's within your birthright, especially if a lot of your ancestors struggled, you know, and lived their life of like a meager earnings and meager, you know, just in poverty or not having a lot, you know. Some of you guys' ancestors also, they worked at the coal mine or something, or a gold mine or something. They worked, but they didn't get to take that gold home. There's something about working for other people or building up other people's wealth instead of their own. That's for somebody's ancestors. There's something here where you're meant to create abundance because of that. Some of your ancestors work so hard to build up their abundance that they've naturally left you a spiritual inheritance. Okay, so if some of your ancestors were quite powerful and in their lifetime or whatever, I feel like there's something here where they've left some of that glory to you, or they've left some of that abundance to you. It's your spiritual inheritance to be able to have that. That's theirs. They created it, and it's theirs to keep. Okay, so we have that here with this Kingfisher. I feel like there's something here about you are meant to have and create a lot of abundance. And again, you have some kind of special gift or talent or skill or something that they gave you to do that. So we have here, oh, I thought something popped. Maybe I was wrong. What else do we have here? Last but not least, we have the white swan, okay? Glide away. The power of divine grace is within you. Yes. That's giving that like peace type of energy too. Like you don't have to show up to every fucking fight that you're invited to, for real. All right. But there is this energy of like, you know, spirit giving you a lot of grace. And that's why you are trusting in the higher powers. That's why your ancestors trusted in them. That's why they're asking you to trust in the higher powers, because you have that divine grace within you. You are touched by spirit, okay? There's this energy here where it's like you have a lot of divine energy that flows through you, and that's why some people can't come and just play in your energy. That's why I tell you guys, sometimes you don't really have to fight your own battles. Yes, defend yourself if necessary. Let people know this is the line, like I said. But you don't really need to go out there acting a fool, you know, fighting and doing all this stuff, because spirit, your ancestors, they have your back. You are touched by the divine. You do have the divine grace within you. So when you're messed with, or when people have come to you with ill intention, or they try to disrupt your energy, or they go out of their way to just try to mess with you or hurt you, they're taken care of. You don't have to be a part of that either. You just get to sit back and continue to enjoy your life, Gemini. Okay. What messages do the ancestors have for Gemini? We have hedgehog, acceptance, embrace who you are. Well, damn. Right? And maybe you are a little hedgehog. Maybe you are a little spiky, a little pokey, right? Grab that thing the wrong way. Okay, like you got to be handled carefully. There's something about that for somebody. Like, I'm just saying, there's this energy here of like your ancestors want you to accept who you are. Okay, the same message that the Heron is giving. Let go of convention, follow your own unique path, be who you are, be proud of who you are, be proud of where you came from. Okay. Even if it's not the greatest of energies, right? Even if your ancestors didn't do the greatest of things, they did leave you the best parts of themselves, okay? Because some of y'all's ancestors, they didn't do the greatest things, or there was some things, Shit, it was back in the day. Back in the day, it was rough, like it was rough. So a lot of them had to do what they had to do as well, because I've thought that with my guides and my ancestors and had these conversations, in my head and talking to them and everything. And, the thing that I got back was, what would you do? What would you do if you were living a peaceful life and all of a sudden colonists came and pulled up to your port and started cutting down trees and killing your animals and firing on your people? What would you do? So it's almost a sense of like, sometimes your ancestors didn't have a choice but to be who they were, right? They had to make do with their current situation. They had to grow within their circumstances. Yeah, okay, exactly. We have the koi carp. It says abundance. Wow. This is 3 times, guys. It says move with the flow of abundance around you and through you. So if that's not a message for somebody, I don't know. You are meant to be abundant, and it's going to flow. You're going to have more abundant seasons than others, right? Sometimes your ancestors would have very abundant seasons where maybe they had more berries than they were expecting, or they got more deers than they were expecting, or they were able to, I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? But there's something here where it's like, then they would give to others, or they would stock up and they would have enough to make do in the times where they didn't. So let's just say, for example, your ancestors like to pick berries and then make preserves, right? Jams or whatever. Say they came across where this summer when they go to pick berries, they pick more than they've ever been able to pick before, and it's a great harvest. Well, then they would trade, right, to create abundance. I'll trade you berries for blankets or for combs or for whatever. And they would also save up and then have the for winter time, so in the winter they're getting to eat berries, so there's something here about that where it's like flow with what's given to you. You might get your abundance in like bursts. Like, so let's say you do something where you own your own business or you accept clients or something like that. There could be seasons where it's just popping and the money is just flowing in. Save that money or make the best of those situations for that way when you have, when you have like off seasons, you are still abundant, right? Because your ancestors are basically saying with 3 abundance cards that you are taken care of and you are meant to be taken care of. The only way you're not going to be taken care of is if you do something that you shouldn't do, or you spend it unwisely, or you, you don't step into your gifts or your talents or exchange the energy that you're meant to create abundance. Like, you still have a choice in your life, but they have set you up to where you should be good, okay? Please take these readings as they fit for y'all, guys. The snake, okay? We have the Kundalini rising. Channel your creative passion and sensuality and welcome the transformation, guys. These cards are kind of repeating, but I'm actually kind of here for it because I love this. I love that the messages keep coming through and they're very cohesive. Yeah, there's like untapped potential here, and your ancestors want you to get ready to transform. You're about to go deeper than you ever went. You're about to be... So whatever your skill is, whatever it is that you do trade to create abundance in your life, whatever your trade is, okay, or whatever, it's like you're about to be able to go deeper than you've ever been. You're about to be more talented than you ever were. You're about to advance to a whole new level of potential that you didn't even know was available to you, okay? So your ancestors want you to ready yourself for that transformation here. It's coming. So channel your creative passion. Be creative. Be passionate. Allow yourself to step into that. Allow yourself to step into your sensuality if that resonates for you. What else do we have here? These are going to be the last 2. Just because, yeah. Chameleon, soul tribe, it's safe to be seen. Well, that's a whole ass message within itself, ain't it? It's safe to be who you are, guys. And that's why, and not to make this about me, okay? Because this reading certainly is not about me. But that's why I get so annoyed when people want to come up here and tell me how to do this and how to do that and how to speak and how to talk and how to live and how to breathe and defend myself and all this, because it's like you haven't walked a day in my life. You don't even understand how down I've been on myself for most of my life, like the self-confidence issues that I have struggled with. I know that I come off as incredibly charismatic and confident here. I'm very comfortable with tarot and I'm very comfortable with my intuitive gifts, but I'm not so comfortable around people, And so it takes a lot of courage for me to get up here and release these messages and not judge the shit out of myself. And people who have the opportunity to get closer to me, they see this part of myself. Like they see that, And so I can't stand when somebody wants to come up here and try to knock me when it's like I've done a lot of work on myself. Anyways, and I feel like when I go off on these tangents, I feel like it resonates for y'all too, okay? In some way. But I feel like the soul tribe energy that I was getting at here is that I do feel comfortable with you guys. That's why I'm able to be myself. There's a part of me that does resonate here and that feels comfortable in this space, feels comfortable being goofy and laughing and singing and doing things that I don't do with just strangers on the fucking street. Anyways, Phoenix, empower. It says fire activations bring creative and spiritual freedom. Wow, that's really powerful energy. And I do feel like there's something here where you are meant to kind of rise up from the ashes. For Shizor. We have the fox energy. It says shadow work. There are no shadows without light. Yeah. They literally went off on that tangent. It's true though. The shadow work is something that is never ending, right? So that's why I can't stand when people want to try to like shame people, They come in here, they rally your energy up, and then they tell you that they hope you get the healing that you need. Like, brother, sister, please. Okay, healing is not something that just happens overnight. You're never just going to be healed. You're never just Gandhi in this bitch perfect and never having made any mistakes, although I'm pretty sure Gandhi made mistakes too. It's just like, you're always going to be working on your shadow. You're always going to be working on that dark side, that beast that wants to come up within you, okay? But I feel like a lot of you guys should be very proud of yourself because you have done a lot of shadow work, You're better than you used to be. A lot of you are better. If not all of you are better than you used to be. How you handle situations today is far better than how you would have handled situations back in the day, right? So there are no shadows without light. There's no darkness without light, right? There's no light without darkness. Each thing goes hand in hand, and your shadows are not something that's meant to be shamed or meant to be hidden away. So you get angry, so you get sad, so you are insecure, So you can be a little judgmental, so you can be this, so you can be that. These are things that are meant to shine a light, really, on yourself and show you parts of who you are and parts you need to work on. And there's a time and a place for everything. The shadow side helps you survive out here on these streets because trust me, if you try to just be all light out here in the world, you're going to get your ass chewed up and spit the fuck out really quickly. Okay? So some of you guys, your shadow side has been something that's been very helpful for you to be able to navigate this world. But some of you guys know when to unleash it and you know when not to, okay? Do we want to do anything else? I don't think so, guys. I think we're going to call this a day. We're going to be done with this reading. But I do hope that this reading helped. I hope it resonated. I hope it did something. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.